check.
Am I on and live and whatever? All on. Do I make it?
All right.
Oh, should I have my sunglasses?
What's that?
I've got my sunglasses.
Oop. Oh, I can pop those off. I forgot they were up
No,
there.
it's very important. Yeah. Yeah, you just look like pilots. Yeah, fighter pilots. Ready for the test. Like, of course, they're ski. Especially with the aviator. Definitely have to know that.
All right, we are here. Give us a shout there, Mike. Make sure the folks can hear you.
Looks like it's picking up my voice.
Yep,
Yes.
sounds good. Folks, we're doing this for the first time, so if we run into any technical difficulties, we're going to be fixing them on the fly. But you got to let us know if they come up. But welcome to the World Championships of Warhammer Underworlds. We've got 2.0 on the way. We're expecting to have a game going at this time, but they're with all the extra logistical complications of not only a new edition, but a whole slew of warbands that are just leaving NDA this coming Saturday. The players and the organizers needed just a little bit of extra time to get rolling. So we are on hold as far as that first round. We're thinking probably sometime in the next 45 minutes to an hour.
Hoping so, yeah.
Yep.
The long story short, a couple of cards and warbands are being organized right now, distributed to the players. We want to make sure everybody has everything they need and to make it as fair of a competition as possible before we get started.
Yep.
And so there is a little bit of extra lead time. So we will not be showcasing a game right now. So what we are going to do instead is just give you a quick overview of the event. And then we will have an interview to fill some time. And when we are able to cast games, we will let you get those started as soon as we are able. The schedule for the total event may change. This is all kind of in flux right now. We were scheduled to have 3 rounds today, 3 rounds tomorrow. We may run a little long today. We may do 2 today, 4 tomorrow. That is to be seen, and we'll let you know as soon as we do. At this point, what we know is that we are in a hold of battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're going to arrange a couple interviews just so we can talk to some folks. Give us just a couple minutes, and I think we're going to be talking with last year's ringer, Zach the Duke Newcomb. We'll be right back at you in just a minute while we get set up, and we'll have a little chat with Zach here. All right, Zach. Hey, welcome. You were here last year as the ringer. Am I correct?
That I was.
Yeah.
I was the ringer.
What you are here as a full-on competitor this time, right?
I've been told that I am a real boy now because I cannot be asked to leave.
Yeah. Okay. Congratulations. You are you willing to reveal for our listeners what you decided to bring this year?
Well, if I'll scoot a little bit closer to you, I am bringing Congress Ravagers. My wonderful wife made me a shirt with the emblem.
All right. Well, so that's an interesting point because Congress Ravagers are one of the warbands releasing in the Grand Alliance pack.
That power.
The embargo act doesn't lift until this Saturday on it. However, we've been given clearance to share some of the details of those things. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what made Kagras feel like a strong choice for you?
So, Kagra has some very good defensive capabilities
Mhm.
on their fighter cards. Two of their fighters do inspire to block.
Yep.
And they're one of the war bands that does have four wound fighters. However, Razik doesn't get his fourth wound until he inspires, which felt like a weird choice to me.
Yeah, it's so weird. I wasn't expecting it. Let's talk about that inspire. How do they inspire?
So they do maintain the desecration mechanic. One time in each power step, I can choose to desecrate a treasure token.
Yep.
And that desecration powers some of their abilities.
Yeah.
There is a card draw ability
Yep.
as well as a once per game push
Okay.
that are based on that desecration mechanic.
Okay. And it's a you said it was at the end of that first or end the whatever action phase if you've got two desecrated.
Yes.
So so in your experiences, has that kind of really triggered a struggle over those initial treasure tokens?
So
It does feel like that Inspire is pretty momentous for him.
yeah, the Inspire condition is fairly easy based on your matchups because even though the board is technically smaller, it
Yep.
does actually feel much bigger.
Okay, interesting.
It because it is so wide, you can kind of load up one side if you have the opportunity to, and then it makes it a little bit easier to get your guys onto those two tokens to be able to desecrate them.
When we were talking about the maneuvering with this new board, so you've got two different sides, two different alignments. Have you found yourself like reaching for one particular alignment or one side of the board? Do you prefer the side with blocked versus not, or
I think I prefer the one with the block hexes more, just because where the starting hexes are a little bit more farther back.
Okay.
I want to counterpunch rather than invade
Mhm.
in most matchups.
And what have you been doing for scoring to be able to kind of force that in general?
So I've chosen the Emberstone Sentinels and the Pillage and Plunder.
Okay. That's two decks out of the core box. People are
Correct.
already familiar with those. Yeah.
Yep. So we because Kagra is technically a hold objective warband now, with those good defense stats, holding those objectives are fairly easy.
Mhm.
And a lot of the cards in there don't involve successful attacks.
Mhm.
I just have to do an action and be standing in a good place to be able to score those. So I can
Pulling dice out of it somewhat. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sure. Uh, a warband people are going to hear the name a lot this weekend is Drom's. We know that about a third of the field is Drom's Gore Chosen.
Yep.
Gore Chosen or Drom, I should say. I did enjoy those quite a bit in first edition. Knowing that you're going to be facing those, and then seeing what else is out there. What are your main concerns for matchups this weekend?
So, Drum, of course, is my most concerning matchup.
Yep.
There are a lot of them, and they hit very, very hard.
They sure do.
And they can also do a lot of damage early, which
Okay.
is bad for me.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to kind of stay out of the fight a little bit and hope that they miss that first opening charge so that they don't instantly get to charge again.
Right.
Which is a concern.
This is coming from an ability on Drom's War Scroll that allows it's the Enrage ability once per game. They can burn one or they can burn a blood tithe equal to the round number.
Yep.
That will and allow a fighter to charge. It can also be used on the opponent, though rarely see it used in that situation. And they gain blood tithe anytime a fighter on either side is damaged. And so this is what you're talking about. That initial charge comes in, lands a hit, earns a blood tithe, and then immediately your power step get a chance to charge again. If you have to put a fighter up to sacrifice, which one have you been willing to give
Zarsha.
up? Zarsha, thematically appropriate. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Your time is over, gal.
Zarsha makes a very good dangle bro because she does have 4 wounds.
Yeah.
Her defense characteristic isn't great, but they're still going to have to swing twice in most cases to be able to actually take her off the board.
Yeah.
And the guard mechanic is very powerful in this second edition, and since she is on dodges and takes 2 hits to kill in most cases,
Yeah.
she makes a great dangle bro, and she's only worth 1 with glory.
That was the other
Is
thing I
it-
was going to bring up is one bounty on her makes her pretty effective. All right.
Yep.
Anything else that you are really watching matchup wise? Anything that you're worried about or have felt that you needed to get the reps with?
Um, I am a little concerned about Gitz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nurk
Interesting.
is very much a pain in the butt
Mhm.
because of he does inspire to 3 dodge.
Yeah.
And every hex around him acts as a lethal hex.
Yeah. For folks who are only familiar with second edition, lethal hexes are just 1 damage for moving
Yep.
into it. And is he each and every time somebody moves into those?
It's each fighter, so I can actually drive back his own fighters into Snark and damage them as well.
And why would yeah, that's a good point. So you can trigger some deaths on there. Uh I know that they occasionally will set those up on purpose because they're Inspire and this war scroll is out and about the Gitzar, but their Inspire is based off of I think it was glory above their fighter count.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So occasionally you might have to give up some chumps to get there. I don't know.
Yeah, and because of their mobility, they do still have the scurry ability. They can cover up some tokens very quickly, which does make it a little bit more difficult for my warband choice to get on those tokens to be able to desecrate things.
Okay.
So
Now, Zach, they did do the pairings already. Best Coast pairings are up and available. What is your first round matchup?
I believe it might actually be Gets. I
Okay.
don't remember exactly what Daniel had on his on the quick view that we had of the pools before, but it might be Gets.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. Well, I'm glad you already have some thoughts on how we do that. So this is your second time. You've been at both worlds. We mentioned that you were here as a ringer. This time, how far in advance did you know you were going to be here? Like when did you earn your ticket?
So I earned my ticket over the summer.
Okay.
We had a event that was canceled and then rescheduled.
Okay.
So we then had another event since the GW graciously gave us a ticket anyway for the event. So we
Okay.
just made one.
Excellent. What did you earn your ticket with?
I earned it with Crimson Court with trying to remember the deck name now. Rhyme-Locked Relics.
Okay. Yeah. That was a spicy combo.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds like Thrice Bolt's first up. That's one I've dabbled a little with. And again, that's a digital war scroll, so people are familiar with that one a little bit. But a lot, I think, hinges on their evasive rolls. They're 2 evasive fighters that can reduce damage. So
I'm more worried about the leader with range 2 for 3 damage.
that's a good point. That's fair. You better hope they don't draw into commanding stride immediately so they can get in position and start poking.
Yep. Definitely, especially if the tokens are close to one another, you can definitely camp on 2 of them at once with that guy.
Yeah.
3 if he's in the middle of the board.
Good old, good old Vexmore,
Yep.
just lounging around. Well, I want to make sure that you are hydrated and fed before your first game. Anything else you want to tell the folks out there?
If you can, try to get a golden ticket from one of the events. This event is it's amazing. There's a lot of countries. There's folks from all over the world, really all over the world here, and it's just a very fun, accommodating event to come to.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. We are going to be on and off for folks watching at home. We're going to try to bring you some more interviews. We'll send some updates out over some of the usual channels about when we'll be kicking off. Again, we're thinking anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes from now. But there's a lot of factors. The events team is really going gangbusters, trying to overcome some hurdles, and we're just gonna roll with it. So,
Yep.
Hey, best of luck to you today.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll be talking to you later in the weekend with you in the bigger pools. So,
Hopefully.
yeah, you have a reputation for taking some heads. So we'll see if it plays out.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we are live. So we are going to continue some interviews while we wait for things to get set up. We brought to you another one of our competitors here. So without further ado, why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you're playing, what you plan on doing here at Worlds.
Cool. My name is Jonas, coming from Denmark, and like a fair few of my fellow competitors, I've picked Drum's goal chosen to come to bring to the event.
Okay, so we're expecting to see a lot of Drum this weekend. It's a pretty popular choice, looks pretty strong from what we can tell. Walk the listeners through why you chose or chosen Drum and what you think makes them a good choice for the World Tournament.
There's two reasons why I almost from the beginning was pretty sure I was going to go with an aggro or an assault strike deck, I think they're called these days. I know they're a bit more simple, and we're going to play a lot of games, and it's going to be late. And I was thinking that to go with strike, it's maybe a bit more straightforward, eliminating mistakes instead of conjuring up some really tricky plans with some more complicated deck builds. So that was my thought. And then I've been practicing with some of the other elite strike teams, like Hetman's Curse or the Morgus Crushers or some of the Sigma boys. But I ended up with Drums simply because I found that their War Scroll and their abilities was just a little bit stronger.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about those abilities, because I know that the viewers at home have not seen this information yet. It doesn't drop from embargo until Saturday. But since we have that stuff in advance, spoil a little bit of that now. I've been told it's okay to talk about.
So
that means
we should spoil that.
Yeah, let's spoil a little bit now.
Right.
So a couple things that stand out to me on first pass is the Glore Hulk himself is a significant piece in this one. And then the Enrage ability as well as the Call of Blood ability are both pretty potent. And if there's anything else that you want to add to that, I think those are at least the three things we should touch on.
I think that, and then there's the range.
Yes.
So the Warband as such is pretty much as it was. It's got 5 wounds for Drum, 6 for the Glore Hulk, and 4 for the last dude.
Parax.
Their inspired conditions are also a bit similar. They need to take damage or give damage, and then they get some blood tithe tokens. I can't remember if they're called that anymore, but you get tokens, and when you reach a certain number, you inspire all 3. And it's bound to happen. End of round 1 or beginning of round 2, in my experience.
That number is 8 for the viewers. 8 blood tithe tokens. You do have some abilities that will spend them, but every time you deal or take damage, you do gain 1. I played a practice game against Strom yesterday, and it is hard to stop them from getting to that 8. Some people have been routinely hitting 20 by the end of their games without too much issue. So there will be plenty of blood tithe to spend for sure.
But really, you don't have to plan to inspire. You just have to do the stuff, which makes it inevitable that they will inspire. It's really just a matter of time. And the inspired condition, once they meet that, they become really lethal, just as you expect them to be. Drum becomes super accurate, 3 damage. The Glore Hulk is just a monster.
So I'm getting a comment here that we're a little quiet, so let's try and position the mics closer to our face. There's a couple of volume settings we can play with, but one of the things we've been told is just putting it very close to your mouth will be the easiest way.
Is that better?
Yeah, we'll try and speak up for the people at home because we want to make sure that you can hear us.
So I was going on that the once the 3 fighters inspire, they become both accurate and with a ton of damage, as you would expect. Some of the other elite warbands do the same thing, but their inspired conditions is just a little bit more tricky. Like the Black Orc dudes, you need the Varg tokens, and sometimes it can be a little bit clunky. The other thing with the Drum is that once you inspire, you don't lose your well-earned blood tithe counters. They stay there and spend them. We'll come back to that. And then the last thing where they stand out from the other guys is that all 3 fighters inspired have released. Even 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 the big dude has rings too.
Yeah, and that is
That is just an awesome thing.
remarkable difference from the first edition that the Gorehulk inspired can now hit for 3 damage at range 2,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
scary to think about.
Or 2 damage at 5 hammers.
Yes, that's the other thing. His throttling grip now has Grievous, and so he can do 5 hammers, which is remarkably accurate for one with Grievous. So effectively 2 damage at range 1 with a guaranteed hit, and that's pretty scary.
But it's still a strike deck. You are still relying on dice to carry out the game plan. The scoring conditions are pretty decent, but yeah, you need to be hitting stuff. You need to be killing stuff.
Okay, I'm going to try and increase our volume. I'm told that we are on the quiet side.
I hope it's
So
better now.
hopefully it's better now. Yeah, let's put mine up as well. I'm not sure why mine was so much more down, but okay. Hopefully that did a little bit for the volume. I'm not particularly skilled at computers. We'll try and get that fixed in between interviews. But we are working out the kinks as we work out the whole tournament kinks as well. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the fighters, their inspired condition, the fact that they go to range 2, which means that you have the opportunity to leverage that charged out. But on the topic of charges, we do have an ability on the war scroll known as a rage. So I want people to see that.
That is just, in my humble opinion, one of the best abilities of all war scrolls. So it basically allows you, instead of playing a power card, to make an extra charge for one of your fighters. Doesn't matter if they have charged or if they have a move token or not. They have an out of sequence charge, which goes without saying is you can get one of your super monster killers to strike again. And the really tricky part about this, the lethal part, is that your opponent cannot stop it.
Yes.
So you can in your action phase make a charge, do some damage, and before the guy can respond with a healing potion or anything, any trickery to keep alive, you can do a charge again.
In the power step, you do a second charge, which means should you go first, your opponent will have eaten 2 Gorehulk charges before they can take their first card, much less their first action.
They are relying uninspired on 2 hammers, which is only a 50-50 against the shield defense. So it's not it's not going to work every time.
But the times that it works,
Yeah.
it could potentially take out 1 or 2 fighters before they've gotten a chance to win.
I have to say, in my practice games, people like the Warden or Evelyn, or people where warbands that is relying on the leader to do their stuff, they're going to watch out. Because
Yeah,
it's hard to
notably
stop.
because the fighter is not chosen to activate, this fighter can charge despite having charge tokens, which would allow you to kind of leapfrog across the board to hit that key piece they've hidden in the back. And with the boards being tighter and the starting hexes being less hidden, it is definitely possible to reach nearly any model with that double charge situation. So
yeah, you
that-
need some blood type counters to do it. So you
Yes.
cannot do it in round 1 in turn 1.
this is not always guaranteed to succeed for you, but I think, as you've said, this is a huge strength of the warband and part of why many people are taking the chosen at this event. Do some people have counters to that? Possibly. We may see headsmen succeed at that. We may see some other tricks from some other warbands that
That's
we haven't thought of, but it is a strong, potent contender on first read, and we'll see just how that plays out.
And then they have one other ability. It's called Enraged, or the
Done. Enrage is the second charge.
right. And
Call of Blood is one that I think is worth calling out.
got it. Which is basically an extra save. So you can spend as many blood type counters as you have, or as you want to use, and you roll an attack dice for each, and on a crit you save a wound. No, sorry, you heal a wound. So I've had situations in test games where my fighter he's on 1 wound, he gets taken down for 2 wounds, so he's on effectively -1, and with some luck I roll 5 crits, because by then you can have 16, 20
Yeah.
dice.
As
A
we
lot of
discussed,
dice.
towards the end of the game, you have accumulated quite amount of blood tithe, and you have nothing else to do with it except for roll dozens of dice to save your fighter. And occasionally, someone can actually end up healthier than they were before you hit them.
Exactly.
And so your fighter will live.
And sometimes you don't roll any and you're dead.
True.
That's
But the fact that you have that option to keep one of these incredibly potent fighters on the board for another activation, perhaps two, if you roll well enough, does mean that they do have some staying power.
so that's why. And I'm sure the what was it, 16 other drum players are more or less coming to the same conclusion.
Yeah, we will find out once the pairings go live and people start playing what decks they've chosen to take. We do have at this tournament present both the Rack and Ruin and Reckless Fury decks, which have not been previewed and revealed. Reckless Fury to me looks like it pairs quite nicely with Drum, and I'm sure we will see that on some of the stream tables at some point. It manipulates charge tokens and focuses on charging, which is exactly what Drum wants to do. So there will be plenty of overlap there. Before we let you go, I just want to take a brief moment to talk about your first round pairing. Do you know who you're playing?
Playing a guy called Bobby with Efflins.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on that matchup?
Without, in danger of jinxing it,
Yes.
I'm quite pleased with that.
Okay.
They rely on shooting or spell casting, but it's shooting now. A lot of one damage, which is an uphill struggle for them if the good fighters start on 5 or 6 wounds. And every time he does something, I'll get a bit of blood tithe.
Yeah. So he'll be furthering your own game plan as
Yeah.
further his.
Maybe he has some trickery. Maybe it's a hold. I don't know what decks he's using. So it's going to be interesting.
But as is traditional with the case, we haven't seen Nephilim's cards revealed. We don't know exactly their fighter stats or their war scroll abilities for the general public because they're one of the Grand Alliance box warbands. But you can safely say that as before, they depend pretty strongly on Nephilim themselves surviving and doing things. And so being able to take them down early is going to be a key to any opponent's success. And I think Drum is well positioned.
If the opportunity comes, I will definitely
Yes.
try.
It has to be there.
Yeah.
But if you get it, I imagine that would be the smart.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you again for joining us. Best of luck today. Best of luck this weekend. And I'll give it a well.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we are back. I've got Bobby here. Whoop, hold on a second. We got to work on your name, sir. You are 1,000. We're going to hide that for now because you are a mystery name. Uh, let's see. Go there. Give us just a second. We'll be right back. All right. Thanks for sticking with us. It sounds like maybe our volume is improved. That's thanks to our local tech priest, Skylar. We'll talk to him at some point later, but Skylar's part of the Madison group, same as you, Bobby.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, give me a couple lines, make sure we can hear you okay.
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, coming a little closer with that.
Happy to be here. Testing out the microphone, making sure everything works.
Yep.
Everything good.
You're still sounding pretty quiet. Let's see if we
Pretty
can just shift that forward on your head.
Let's see.
You're good.
Wonderful. How I got. That's
Red. Okay, give it a shot now.
hello. Test 1, 2.
All right, folks, let me know if you can hear Bobby okay. Give me another couple.
Yeah, I want to make sure everyone can hear me good. Come through clear. Good old technology.
All right. Looks like still could be even better, but improved. Still the same. This mic is on. Give us just a yeah. Let's see if we can get that.
Looks like it's on.
Yeah.
If I'm still.
We can hear you a little bit. We're gonna see if we can improve what you're putting down here. All right.
Yeah, test 1, 2. Hello, hello.
Bobby's on the
Oh,
cover
cover
X.
Absolutely.
Is staggered a little bit. So let me off the screensaver. You keep it on for a second. I'm just gonna make one small. Go ahead and throw it back on.
You want to throw it back up? Oh, I just put some beats. There we go.
All right, we're gonna give that a shot. So Bobby, you are here. You want to tell us what you're playing?
What I'm playing?
Yep.
Yeah. Ephelum. Everyone's dreaded in the first edition. Here we are in the second now. They're a little tame, a little drawn back. Definitely not as strong as they used to be. So playing some Ephelum, see how that goes. In a pool full of drums.
What how did you end up doing it? Was that just like first edition familiarity, or did you look at them and say like, yep, this is what I want to go with, or
Yeah.
what attracted you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing for me, I really enjoy using a 4 warband, 5 warband. It's kind of my sweet spot.
Okay.
I think it's like my preferred play style. 3 is also okay, but I prefer the 4 or 5. Gives me options for charges and whether or not I have to make them. But when I have more than that, I usually tend to get a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So Ephelum's that sweet spot. Super familiar with them from the first edition. I played them at Adepticon. I played them at our local tournaments.
Okay.
So I'm super familiar with them. While their profiles are slightly different, they're not drastically different, which leads me to believe that they can still hold their own.
Okay. Cool. Are there any matchups you're particularly concerned about?
I think everyone's afraid of Drom today. Everyone's afraid of Drom. It's blood in the water. We'll see how it goes. I think I have an okay game plan, but it'll probably take a little bit of dice luck on my side
Okay.
to see how that goes.
Are there any other matchups that you have on your radar that you're paying attention to?
I would say Headsman is also kind of scary. I have one practice game against them. They can really surprise you with how much damage they can dish out. And the dice, their accuracy is pretty decent. Luckily, Ephelum is on 2 dodge. A couple of the other fighters inspired a 2 dodge, so it's not too bad. There's a couple inspired tricks I have up my sleeve that I don't really want to share yet.
That's fine. Yeah,
But there's some fun stuff that you can do with some of the cards that are in there.
they do, and their war scroll abilities have some splash out damage.
Yeah,
So,
I actually like their War Scroll. I think it's kind of fun. There's like a little bit of damage, but you have to be next to a minion or a changer in the first edition. That'll allow you to ping any adjacent enemy fighter. It's
Mhm.
quite nice. Um, Other than that, the other real nice ability, every time Ephelum is alive at the end of a round, I could bring someone back,
yep.
which with the aggressive decks, there's some scoring in there for, having everyone in the territory charged out.
Mhm.
If Ephelum is alive and I bring a fighter back, I actually cancel out that charge scoring
Oh, that's nice.
because they come back with uncharged tokens.
Sure.
So it's a super cool little tactic. Ephelum is going to be everybody's target, I think. And it really will just come down to how I manage kind of keeping Ephelum alive. So we'll see how that goes.
I think that's a great call. Do you find, so I remember in first edition, FLM often felt like a toolbox, like I'm going to use whichever of the horrors feel most useful in the moment. Have you felt a similar thing, or are you been really kind of going to one particular spot to inspire early?
Uh, yes and no. It feels a little of the same, a little bit different. I think the big thing change-wise is like it has to happen now every at the after the first activation of every round. So it's similar in that sense. But having some cards that allow that flexibility for Ephelum to inspire early can like really make or break her, I think, in terms of accuracy anyway. But with Drum, and the reason it's so scary with them is I don't really want to kind of chip away.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do as much damage as I can. And luckily, now Spawn Maw has Ensnare, but Apatrax has Cleave every time that they're inspired. So
Yep.
currently going into this, my strategy against Gore Chosen at least, and I don't mind sharing this card, is more or less keep Apatrax inspired as early as I can after the first round, assuming he lives.
Mhm.
And then kind of use that Cleave to chip away at Gorehulk, who I think is the biggest issue in that warband. And then after that, pretty much just try and finish him off with some ping damage if I can stay close with the fighters. So
Yeah.
currently the plan.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Hey, for folks who don't know, where did you earn your ticket?
Yeah, so actually, I wonder. I earned my ticket in Madison. I competed at LVO earlier this year.
Yep.
I also competed in Depticon
Yep.
just after that. Then earlier in the summer, or later in the summer rather, What the Heck's hosted Mad Town Throwdown tournament, and that's where I won my ticket.
Yeah. And what did you do it with there?
Yeah, I did it with Headcrackers Mad Mob, with Breakneck Slaughter, and that was the
RIP.
first edition. It was real fun. That was against Cyanized Razors with Rhymeworm Bite.
Yeah.
And that was a super competitive match. I didn't honestly know going into the third game whether or not it was going to be me or him.
Yeah.
I really loved the way that match started. I love the way it ended. And Haven's always a great opponent, so it was super
Yeah.
fun.
He's great. He knocked me out in that one.
Yeah, yeah.
He bumped me in the semis. I was doing thrice fold.
Yeah.
You am I right in the lead up to that? I think you lost like 5 or 6 in a row with
Or 7,
yeah.
or 7, or 8.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
So get him out of the way. So I hope coming into this you've been on a big losing streak.
A little bit of flip flopping, but hopefully the win streak is right around the corner here for me.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Hey, how have you found the Worlds experience? This is your first Worlds.
Yeah, so far it's my first Worlds. It's been awesome seeing familiar faces. You guys seen him earlier. Jonas was back when he was at LVO with me.
Yeah.
So we competed against each other in the Rivals Day there. It was great seeing Thomas, Saxton, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome seeing all the guys again and meeting some new faces as well. It's been pretty great.
It's funny you talk about win streaks and lose streaks. It's something that we're gonna be seeing here is that everyone who came here is somebody who has won some kind of event, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or placed highly in them. Most of these players are used to going 4-1 or 5-0 or what have you, and half of those players are going to come out of here without a winning record. You know,
True.
Somebody is going to go 0-6, 0-8.
Like very likely.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to have to by definition, and so it's going to be interesting who can kind of keep their composure as they start to take some of those hiccups along the way.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
It's always tough to take a loss.
yeah,
Sometimes
no,
you got to take them on the chin, and I think this is the kind of environment that so far all the people, they kind of strike me as the people who will definitely take it on the chin and go forward. I
Yeah.
don't think we're going to get any drops. I don't think anyone's going to be too salty. I think it'll be a pretty fun event.
yeah. Well, look at this. Armoire calling us out. Dave and Bobby traveling to Atlanta to do an interview they could have done at home.
This is true.
Hey, this is the Madison tradition. I went all the way to DC to play 3 of my local players. So
It's true.
I gotta keep that going. Bobby, thanks for coming on. We're
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
gonna pause for a second. We're gonna see and get some more interviews in here. Um, I can even see sitting here, people are using the downtime to guess what? Play more Underworlds.
You know it. It's probably what I'll do.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bobby.
Thank you guys.
Okay, we are back with another interview.
can hear you.
This is Mr. Andy. He's from Vancouver, Canada. He's defeated me before. He's a great guy.
I can't really hear you.
He is here on the stream to talk about the warband that he's playing today. It is the Ember Watch. So, what made you choose the Ember Watch, and what are your thoughts about going into this tournament?
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me, Mike. I'd be here. Ember Watch was kind of a choice after playing many trial games with warbands. I think they just wanted standing up to the very, very aggro meta right now that we have. So they have 5 wounds each and potentially go up to 2 shields for 2 of them. So that seems like a good way to grunt my way through the smash down that is the drum meta right now. So that's kind of the hope. That's kind of the wish.
Okay, yeah. So, when you were looking to do that, what did you expect the meta to be? Did you think there would be this many draws?
I think so. I thought there would be quite a bit, a third, I think. I think it's just kind of about right. Obviously, hoping for more variety, just for more fun games. But at the same time, I wanted to play something a bit different. Didn't want it to be mirror matchups because I played a lot of those before. So I wanted to try something different. Try to a little bit of a player expression out there as well too. So hopefully that comes through.
Okay. So, what is your plan going into draw if you do eventually face it?
Yeah,
That is coming up for you.
play keep away. Try to survive and play keep away. I think they're going to be a pretty aggressive warband. They want to be charging. They want us to be charging too. So if you can try to kill them, they're just going to get more tithe counters for that final frenzy ability. So I kind of want to stay away. I'm trying to stay away from that as much as possible. I'm going to purposely build more less interactive scoring for that purposely, just so I don't have to engage in combat to score, which means I don't have a lot of teeth to put on a lot of damage. But at the same time, they can hit if they aspire. If they go 3 hammers and they go to 4 swords on some of their attack profiles, so they can whittle things down. And I've had some surprises in there for those drum players as well too. So hopefully that will work out in my favor.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll find out later on. There's
Yeah.
no way you're avoiding them. This weekend, you will have at least
Yeah.
probably multiple.
I just hope I don't play all of them all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think
That may be someone's unfortunate fate. But you are opening into a warband that is not Fortunes Drum. Let's talk about your first matchup.
yeah, first matchup's coming up. I'm going to play Rafael from Poland. So very exciting. Never met them the guy before. He's playing Hesman's Curse, which is obviously another big choice. I actually took a look at them in the beginning when I first got the information. They look really, really good. I think they got a built-in teleport. They got a resurrect, which has race token has no glory now. You can put the wielder of the block with no no glory. So that seems pretty scary. And I think also have a pin and also have a opportunity to do something that makes hammer and swords complete successes and the support. It seems
Yeah.
very, very powerful.
They are scary as always.
Yeah.
So, for watchers at home who have not seen the Grand Alliance stuff, we'll take a quick toss over to the Headsman's Curse. The bearer of the block is scary as usual. The wielder of the blade continues to be horrifying. When Inspire, the wielder of the blade is the only fighter in the game with a printed 4 damage on its attack, which means you can give it greatness, which means he can hit for 5, which means he can one-shot his target.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't bother you at all, I'm sure.
It bothers me tremendously. Yeah, absolutely. But they have to kind of get in there and swing. And if they miss sometimes, it's pretty tough. And hopefully I'm on 2 shields at a time.
And he'll be rolling 2 hammers. They do have a couple of tricks to give them some more accuracy, and I'm sure their deck will build that in. But,
Yeah.
the goal may be to try to not go near him and force him to charge and then have less opportunity.
Yeah, the hopefully is to kind of shoot them from a distance at least a little bit. And then when they come back in to try to be able to kill, hopefully they miss. Or if they kill one of my Stormcast, another guy can pop in with some upgrades to try to finish him off.
And so it'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it just need to see how the best of 3 works out as well too, and how we're also learning the game here, and so see what we learn throughout the process, and see how we adapt on that, and see how the how people react to the little teleport that the Ember Watch can do, which is quite nice, and how they will place the tokens will be very, very important as well too. I think they try to simplify the game a bit further, but there's still a lot of nuances and depth in the game that's still kept. Token placement is extremely important because of which warband you pick. And standing on them is important as well too. So that I think when I'm playing second edition for the past couple of days, it felt like it's still very much a lot of the similar things are like tough decisions are being made all the time, and every dice roll is very important. So I'm happy that that is maintained to second edition. You didn't ask me about that, but
It's good to talk about because as new as second edition is for everyone right now, it's just as new for you and your opponents, and
Yeah.
so there will be some learning happening. And that third game is going to be much different from the first, I think, in many cases, because you may have never played a given warband before. And so we'll know exactly how it plays into yours, because I don't know how many practice games you've got, but it feels like everybody here has 10, 20 of
I
them.
will say everybody here don't have as much practice game as they would have liked.
Yes, I would say that's a universal.
Yeah, I
You're
agree.
all learning today, learning over the next weekend. So who knows actually what's going to be the best and what's going to come out on top. And I think it's not just who has the best warband or the best deck, but also who is the most adaptable, who can learn the fastest.
Yeah, and
Really, it's anyone's game.
it is. And I'm happy to see some of the other picks as well too. I mean, I think I read somewhere 16 warband choices, I think, different warbands that is represented here, which is kind of nice. So looking forward to see how those ones do against their matchups, if they're not drawn. Also looking forward to see what type of trick that they have. I say this it's kind of good to have a boogeyman, so everybody can prepare. Because I mean, until I figure out like, oh my gosh, drum is going to be the 1-2 avoid / speed. My deck building was kind of all over the place. I don't know what to do, whatnot. I don't know which warband to pick. But when it became like, okay, this is a focus, it helped kind of, okay, I can't do that. I can't pick those warband, they're too little, or I can't build this warband, they won't hit enough. So it kind of, that's why I kind of whittled down to Everwatch. For me, we'll see how that turns out. But I think it's helpful to have a boogeyman, kind of like Eflin was when it was dominating the meta. I was like, okay, what do I do against that? You can either join in or try to find a counter.
Find that secret sauce to take
Yeah,
it down.
secret sauce is it's a better way to play the game, in my opinion. So,
Okay. Well, best of luck to you. Hopefully you can make the Underwatch
Hey.
shine and tell people that that core box has something special in it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
see you to do what you got to do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for hosting the event as well too. I'm looking forward to seeing all these streams as well too. I think
Represent the Pacific Northwest at the world stage,
yeah.
where we belong.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
Right.
thanks.
Hey, we're back with the one, the only Amon Khusro, Path to Glory. How are you doing, sir?
Dude, I'm doing great. Thanks for having us. And I just want to give a huge shout out to you guys, what the heck's, for coming out here and setting up the stream so the whole community can be a part of this, because this was sorely missed last year.
Yeah. We're glad to be doing it. When have you just moved that mic just a little bit closer and you'd be all set.
There we
Yep.
go.
It's great. You've been here 2 years now. How is the experience the second time around so far?
It's great. So if I know they can't see, but for you, it was only half this space last year. So to see it literally double, if not triple, is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that all these people are playing Underworlds, except just the smaller crew we had last year, is absolutely fantastic. So I'm
Yeah.
very happy.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. I can say that the splendor and the grandeur of the venue they really want on display. We were originally set up in a different spot, and they wanted this big dramatic screen behind us to be against the wall, so we were not obstructing the view of so many tables of Warhammer. So, yeah, cool. Well, speaking of that, second time here, I'm going to ask the question, but I think the folks already know. How'd you qualify for this year?
I got very lucky in that I was able to win last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so all players who made top 8 got a requalification.
Okay.
So
Last year you played. We know it was the Storm Coven, right? Not an option this year.
not an option. But honestly, I'm thankful for that, if only because like more options means just more mental gymnastics. And we
Yeah.
did get a lot. I think like what, 33, 31?
Yeah.
So I mean, still a lot of good options to choose from.
Yeah, it's tons of choices and not a lot of time to make them.
Yeah.
What did you end up settling on?
So the answer to the question, the short answer is Miari's Purifiers.
Okay, give me the long answer though, because we got time. We're waiting for game.
Sure. The long answer is, like many of you have noticed, there's a lot of gore chosen, right? And I think the challenge for me was that very quickly, when you talk about Blazing Assault and Reckless Fury, and when you start seeing some of the cards, which I'm sure you guys will see later on stream, it makes a lot of sense as to why that combination has probably been picked for the gore tourism of Drum. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they can continuously charge,
Mhm.
swap charge tokens off each other, keep charging, and get a lot of attacks, especially with Enrage as one of their war scroll abilities.
So they're really leveraging those impressive stats.
Absolutely.
Like they've got
Yeah.
some high quality attacks, and they're getting to trigger those over and over.
100%, yeah. And they immediately stat check anybody on the board except for the mirror, right? And maybe crushes. But so my thought process was, well, I feel like this is going to be really popular. And one thing that I hate playing is mirror matches, as I'm sure most people do in this game.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just didn't want to do that. And also, I realized that I think I wasn't having as much fun. Like, I get it in a long event if you have a more simple strategy. It doesn't mean that it's not as skill heavy, right? It's still skins intensive, but it's at the end of the day, all else fails, just make an attack.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that can help fatigue over a long event. But for me, maybe I was trying to be a special snowflake.
Yeah.
But I was like, how can I combat this while still having fun? And then that's how I end up with Purifiers. And a lot of that has to do with Bahanar.
Hmm.
Bahanar, when he has his Aether Quartz token, cannot be driven back, period, whether he has a charge token or not. And he's 4 health.
Yeah.
And he still inspires to 2 block. And with the crit change, if you crit hit me and I 2 block,
Good to go.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it feels like a good flex pick is what
Yeah.
you're going into.
truly.
So what I'm hearing, it sounds like maybe this is more like, here's something we have more fun with, more than here's what I think is a strong, like counter pick to Drom. I imagine you have to feel okay into the Drom matchup because I'm sure you saw it coming. That
Yeah,
it's gonna be,
For
Yeah.
sure. No, that's a really good question, Davey. I think for me, it's mostly, again, it was fun, but I think it's going to take a lot of people by surprise, which I'm hoping on.
Yeah, you're the only one here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though I understand that Skylar and G was their second pick. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're all in the same group. So there's
I know.
elf on elf violence going to happen
Yeah.
very quickly here. But
Yeah.
for me, also on top of that, I think I have a good game.
Mhm.
But it reminds me a lot of like when you play against GSP like last year, where it's like, I really hope this attack doesn't land. And that's kind of what I'm going for is
Yeah.
I hope your attacks aren't super high.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's as good as anything. If you've got a good scoring base, you can maybe get out ahead. I did get to watch Mike played Sirenized Razors into a Gore Chosen matchup last night, and he was able to slow down the Inspire just long enough. And I think the folks who can do that and also understand some of the counterplay to the Reckless Furies 2 Glory scores,
Mhm.
there's a lot that are looking for a big payoff for having all the fighters in one territory of charge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you can find a way, either through your deck pick or your play, you can slow their scoring enough that sure they're going to get the bounty, they're gonna wreck you on that end, but you may be able to get out ahead of them.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that's probably what's going to happen in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right, which is super interesting. Is if you both have two Gore Hulks that both stat check each other,
Yeah.
you have to just make sure that you fight in enemy territory so you can score your stuff.
Yep.
But you can also get charged 3 times by the entire enemy warband, right? So
Yeah.
I'm really curious to actually see later on when you get some draw mirror matches and maybe watch those back after the event, because I think that's also super skill intensive.
Yeah. To that point, for folks who are going to be watching these, we're still hoping that we're going to be streaming 8 matches, I think, 8 to 10, depending, 3 a day for pool play. And then on the back end, we're going to try and give a big spread. Like, I know folks don't want to just see all mirror matches all the time. You're probably going to see some out here, but we'll try and make sure we're looking at the interesting folks and highlight some of the interesting choices while still trying to be representative of what's out there. We're really excited to be here. We're hoping we can kick it off pretty soon. You got any more thoughts for anyone out there wondering what the world's experience is like?
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. So Worlds is super cool, right? I think ultimately it's just a gathering of like-minded folk. Like if we were all a warband or a grand alliance, we all come together from different realms and we get together. And yeah, we're playing some really hardcore sweaty games. But I think also with the not so, I mean, it's a pretty big elephant in the room with second edition kind of looming in the short time that we've had,
Yeah.
for whatever reasons. A lot of the people here are also just kind of humming in and like, hey, let's focus on fun first,
Yeah.
while still play our best game.
Yeah.
And I think we're the only community who could physically do that.
Yeah.
Because if I were not to, I'm not saying anything bad about the other communities. I'm just saying we're the best, right? And obviously the audience knows. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir here.
Draw whatever conclusions you want.
Yeah.
That everyone else is tied for second, if that makes you feel
Exactly.
better. But yeah.
But like, because like, look at all these guys. We're all playing games. We're chit chatting. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't get that in other games,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, I thought one of the Underworld's power moves is everybody's like dragging their armies in. These guys come strolling in with like a shoebox under their arm, like, I got everything I need right here. It's like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's so easy. And then if you have those like old Nightbolt or Beastgrave zipper cases,
Yeah.
the new board fits perfect.
Oh, awesome.
So like I need even less stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
really cool.
Well, you got a whole bunch of matches still ahead of you. Anything you're especially worried for here before we sign you off?
Worried? No, I think I've also just like accepted the fact that like there are going to be games where a Gore Hulk charges you twice, charge, enrage, charge.
Yeah.
25% chance you're going to lose one of your fighters.
Yeah.
And you have to plan for that. So
Yep.
I think that's really exciting to work around as for your gameplay as the player who just lost their fighter, right? So
Yeah.
outside of that, I mean, hey, the dice will abide one way or the other. There's nothing we can do about it.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think people need to hear it, but obviously you have your own channel, and there's been some great resources out there already. You guys posted the Warband breakdown. We'll try to put a link to that here in the chat.
That's very kind.
And there was also you've got the one, the only Matt from Set to Tempo has been posting on there.
Yeah.
He's got his predictions for the 13 warbands that he was able to look at before because of the digital release. So there's some good content there already. We're looking forward to being able to post pools. We're not quite ready for that yet, but that's coming up soon, hopefully.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Davey. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for being on.